Facebook next. And we'll chit chat for a minute, let people catch on to what we're doing. Testing, 1, 2. Be Donta.
How's life going for you, man?
Man, it's good, man. I can't complain. I'm excited. This new work. Excited about this new work, man. So just should be setting up. We should be live in a second.
Proud of you, man. Keep up all the great work, bro.
Man,
Nice to know you.
I learned from the best, man. I got the best crew in the world. My brothers, everybody pushing.
Grinding, baby. Everybody trying to get it.
Yeah.
There's room at the top, my friend. There's room at the top.
Sure. And as we give people a chance to, we just went live. I don't know if you have it on yours. You can see it and share it with your people.
All right, let me go out and find it as well.
Excited about this conversation as people come join us. Give everybody a few minutes, but one of the things I do, even with these two-man talks, I share them in different groups, and so we'll have our conversation and people will catch on and come watch it later, but I definitely want to let people hear from you. I know you got a lot to say, a lot of experience in your field, and so excited to have you on, brother.
Glad to be here, man. Definitely glad to be a part of it.
All right, I'm gonna share it. Tyrone Thomas, what's going on, brother? That's my two-man, Tyrone Thomas, Houston, Texas. What's going on, brother? Share it here. All right, man, time is of essence. And so I know you a busy man, got a lot going on. So let's just open up, man. Thank you for taking a few minutes to come on these two-man Tuesday talks, man. I'm excited about it. I was talking to a friend of ours. I think you know Shantae Hawkins. She's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so she's been coaching me a little bit. And so we were having a conversation. She texted me up. She said, now, is this book just for people that's in ministry, or does these principles apply to only people that's in ministry? So I'll say my new book is called It Takes Two, Who is Helping You Lead? And this book is for, number one, senior leaders, or who I call the one. Whether you are the president of an organization, you are the pastor of a church, you are the CEO of your own business, whatever it is. I feel like it's important for them to understand they can't do it by themselves. They need help. They need, and not just any kind of help. They need top level, executive level help to help them think, to help them plan, to help them execute the vision. But it's also to individuals who serve as a two-man. And when I say a two-man, that is a man or woman who serves that as an executive leadership support role. So I'm excited today to have you on because you have tons of experience in being a two-man or an executive leader in the educational realm. So I want to introduce you to some, present to others, Dr. Brencleventon Donta Truss from Alabama. So welcome, man. Welcome to this two-man talk tonight.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, brother. Thank you for having me. So proud of all the great work that you're doing. Just always impressed. It's always a blessing to be in your presence.
Well, thank you, man. So let's open up. Just let people know about you. Where are you from? Kind of what's your background before we dig into your work experience?
Yeah, I'm from Talladega, Alabama. Talladega is a few miles from Birmingham, Alabama. Known for Talladega College and also one of the fastest speedways or racetracks is located in Talladega. I grew up there. I was reared there, but I left there and went to Montgomery, Alabama, just a few miles down the road where I attended Albany State University. I often say that 80 miles or so was very, or they were very instrumental in my growth. Going 80 miles down the road basically introduced me to the rest of the world by way of Albany State University. Attended Albany State University, finished my bachelor's, my master's, and then also my doctorate in educational leadership, policy, and law there. While being in school, fell in love with being in school, became a career student, and also knew that I wanted to make that my work. While there at Albany State in my undergraduate program, I participated as a student orientation leader. And I believe that was the starting point for me in higher education, providing those services and seeing first generation students who were just like me as I was a first generation student, even though my mother did go and get a 2-year degree, but I was the first to have the 4-year degree. And knowing definitely that my work started where her work left off. Because of the sacrifices that she made, I was able to do some of the things that I was able to do. But anyway, being a part of student orientation service leader program and seeing first generation students come in and not have a clue on how to navigate those rough waters and being able to assist them with those waters, I think it started in me a drive to want to see more and more of this particular population get into college, be successful, graduate, move on and do big things. And the most important piece there for them is then for them to do the same and reach back and help some others to do the same thing. So it's really a matter of while at Albany State, while doing some of this work, the drive to want to work in higher education and to serve started to grow. Had some amazing opportunities to meet some amazing people while at Albany State University, you being one, and many other guys that was a part of what we do with TDI. Left Albany State and still had an opportunity to network and to meet some amazing people. I ran into a professional grant writer early in my career. Her name is Dr. Sandra Flowers. Dr. Sandra Flowers was a white lady that believed in allowing hard workers to have great opportunities. And she saw in me the ability to work hard, and she gave me some opportunities to write some grants. As a matter of fact, she showed me how to write a particular grant. And the skill that she gave me still pays my bills today because she started me down the path of successful experiences in higher education. So I give much credit to her believing in me. I told her when she started teaching me this that I'd make sure that I always worked harder than anybody in the room at this trade to make sure that I'll be the best, which meant that some nights I stayed in my office. I spent the night and worked hard on making sure I got different grants funded. And by doing so, I ended up getting well over $10 million worth of grants funded. I started off at the bottom level in that particular position that I'm referring to. And at the basic level, and after writing a grant, then I was allowed to be the director of one particular program. Then I wrote 4 more, and I ended up being director of multiple programs. And I think at that point, I was maybe 24, 25, somewhere at that point, leading multi-million-dollar grants. As I started doing that, these grants started centering around low-income first-generation students. Again, a part of my overall theme that I picked up at Albany State University.
Okay.
And so I kept building, kept networking, became an advocate for those programs, traveled all over the country, been to DC to advocate and lobby for funding for that. And then I started to build on that platform, and I said, well, I could do more than just write grants. Let me start branching into some other areas. And so after I finished my doctorate, was given an amazing opportunity at my alma mater, Albany State University, to come and lead their admissions and recruitment and student retention areas. Went and did that, and from that opportunity, somebody saw my work and said, I want you on my team at Fort Valley State University.
Right.
Went there and started doing similar work, but branched into a new field because I saw another route of something that I could do to add to the repertoire, if you will. And so I picked up institutional effectiveness and institutional research skills, the ability to present data in a manner that people can understand it. And that was my thing. I can make you understand these numbers, and I can help you to utilize these numbers to make solid decisions. Did that for years, and then was asked to lead accreditation at the school and had some experiences doing it. So I grabbed it and I used the same model, worked hard, stayed late, did it better and bigger than anybody else. And then next thing you know, I was over the entire process. And then I was made associate vice president. Somebody saw my work as associate vice president and said, this man is working extremely hard and he's producing, but we need to enlarge his territory. So then I was selected by one of the presidents. We need you to be the vice president of enrollment management. And we want you to take your experiences that you have with the grant writing, with the admissions and recruitment, with data, and pull that together to lead this entire area and build our enrollment and create some new student success strategies. Did that, had increased numbers. Another institution saw the work that came with a better offer and said, let's move you over and do some big and better things. And so I went to my next institution, which was Albany State University. Was able to create a 65% increase in first-time freshmen over the previous year. Somebody saw that and said, we want to bring you to the north, and let's see, what you could do. And so some other opportunities came by way of that. And so my career has been a situation where it's just been a formula of working hard, and opportunities came, and people entrusted in me some small things, and we kept building on it, and before you knew it, it started to expand. But it started, and this is where I think it connects with the It Takes Two. It started with Dr. Sandra Flowers, saying to me, I need you to assist me, but I want to show you how to do this. So I was her second in charge, and I was watching every step that she made, and she allowed me to do it. And at that point, I served at her pleasure. And so it was a quid pro quo where I gave her something, she gave me something, but she blessed me with a skill set that I still use to this day.
Now, what was her name?
Dr. Sandra Flowers. She's deceased at this point. She died about 4 years ago of cancer. But again, I owe a lot of what I've been able to do to Dr. Sandra Flowers. I worked with her at Andrew College, a small 2-year Methodist college.
I remember that, yeah.
Georgia, down in Southwest Georgia, where I've never seen as many gnats in my life as I saw there. It was hot as could be, but man, we ended up going into that predominantly white institution and adding a very high level of minority students and wrap these grants that we wrote around these students to support them and help them to be successful. And so we spreaded the word about higher education down in Southwest Georgia, which is probably one of the most impoverished areas in the country. In the state of Georgia, they rank usually in the 7 or 8 counties that I worked in, they would rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the highest number of poverty throughout the state, which we could then extrapolate that these are some of the poorest counties in the country. But we were down there providing educational opportunities, man. I remember grabbing some students that were in 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom trailers and turning them into mathematicians. And these guys are now, mathematicians and working all across the country, traveling the world. And we were introducing these opportunities to them. And some of them, might not have made it if we didn't present those opportunities.
Gotcha. We got Timothy Fields. He says hello. He's on here watching. He said, what's going on? Shamaric Paradise said, in addition, you're a great leader.
Thank you, Shamrack. I know her well. She and I go way back. She's worked for me before at one of the institutions.
Okay.
Lady that I met at one of our speaking functions, she was on the agenda speaking, and I think I hired her the next week, and she started working full time with me. Wow. She went on to finish her doctorate from Auburn University, an amazing young lady.
Good stuff. Johnny Stevens, the publisher of this book, It Takes Two, the publisher of our co-author book, It Was All a Dream. He says, "What's cracking, Dr. Truss?"
Hey, what's up, man? Get ready for my next book, baby. We're coming to get you.
So let me ask this. So one of the things I talk about in my book, I spend 2 chapters dealing with the qualities of a two-man. And so for me, I just kind of give some basic principles of qualities that should exist in an executive leader. And I use a animal reference because if the lion is considered the head of the company, I talk about this idea of being a horse. And as an executive leader, you need to be a horse. You need to be able to carry the weight. And you just mentioned something about hard work. Speak a little bit about that and how hard work should be a core quality. So for someone that works for you, so you're the vice president at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. And so I'm sure you hire staff and you're a two-man as a vice president, but you also have 2 men who work on your staff. So talk to me a little bit about qualities that you want to see in your people, but start with that one quality, which seems like is your go-to quality of hard work. Just kind of talk about that and why that's an important quality.
Yeah. Hard work for me is essential. I believe that it's a couple of things that I can control in the way I do things and the way I operate inside of an organization. And hard work is one of them. I believe that I can work harder than just about anybody in my organization. And I think that's essential as a leader. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't work smart, because you do. It doesn't mean that you burn yourself out, but it does mean that you display the type of hard work that it takes in order to get a job done. When you've ascended to a VP level, you're pretty much, whether we want to attest to it or not, you've pretty much given up a portion of who you are for the trade that you're in, for whatever the particular task that you're involved with. And many times you're the last point that makes sure that it gets done. And that doesn't always mean that everybody on your team sees it that way. So if there's some gaps, you become the gap filler as the executive leader. Now, leadership is motivating others to complete a task. And I tell people, when you do it really well, you'll motivate them to complete a task and they'll enjoy doing it. So you have to find ways to make sure that this hard work is enjoyable. It doesn't mean that it has to be completely stressing you out, but it does mean that you have to pay attention to detail. It does mean that you have to be willing to go the extra mile. In my life, I've found ultimate success beyond the regular stopping point. And what I mean by that is you reach a mark where we could stop right here and this will be an okay finished product, or we can go just a little bit more and this can be an excellent product. And people around me, I believe, will attest to that. I push hard, but it's a matter of pushing to get us to a different level than what others have seen. And I think that type of effort, that type of drive is what separates you. You know, when you get to this level, everybody's smart. Everybody on my level has a doctorate. I mean, these guys have gone to great schools. They've done what it takes to be at this point. And you have to understand that. So it's not about being smart anymore, because everybody's at that level. It's about now, how do you take that and how does that transfer to getting the job done? How does that transfer into motivating your teammates? How does that transfer in taking the organization to the next level? And so hard work being at the core, when you work hard and you're pushing to get to that next point, I think it sets the stage for some better results. Gotcha. Now, other characteristics that are extremely important to me, and I'm just going to be real and give it to you from my personal view. I believe in being loyal. Loyalty to me is extremely important. And so as we're growing and building relationships, you know, I think it's things that we do to build that loyalty. You know, and loyalty is not a one-way street. It really becomes a two-way street that we share with each other. And so I think as I look at being a good two-man or number 2 man for my president, I realize that I serve at the pleasure of my president and within reason. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go jump off a cliff or anything for it, but it does mean that I'm going to support the initiatives that she's developing. And it's important for me to align what I'm doing with my president, because she's the ultimate leader. You know, that doesn't mean that I don't say to her what President such and such, maybe we want to take a look at that, because you do that as a number 2 person. You provide a little bit of guidance, but you do it in a respectful manner or a respectable manner. And then when she makes a decision, then we move in that direction. And then the same piece goes for my number 2. I know my number 2 who I've hired, they're very smart people, and you kind of want to get out their way and let them do it. But
right.
Ultimately, they have to align with what initiatives and what tasks that I've laid out, because I've aligned with the president. So what we are all doing is aligning to move her initiatives forward. Now, as we do it, there are times when we're going to have our initiatives that ascend to the top, and they'll become the president's initiatives. So that's how we manage some of those pieces. But ultimately, it's important for us to align. And as we do that, we do it through loyalty. Also, with my team members, I talk a lot about messaging. Our messaging needs to be similar. And that doesn't mean we all think alike, because when we're in the back room and we're at the conference table and we're hashing it out, we're going at it. I want your ideas, and they'll clash with mine, and that's okay. But when we get ready to walk out of that room and we've developed a consensus, we've said, hey guys, this is the direction we're going. At that point, even if it were not my idea, I need to align with it so we can push it and send the wrong messages. One of the things I hate a lot is you agree on something, you go outside the room, and then they say, well, we're going to do this, but I don't really like it. And they're kind of behind the scenes.
Right.
What it does, it begins to deteriorate at the whole idea and the entire concept, because you've already told people you're not for it. So if they're not seeing you buy into it completely, then they're not going to buy into it completely. So our messaging has to be extremely close. So hard work, loyalty, making sure we align properly, and making sure that we create messaging that moves the needle forward are some of the things that I look for.
That's perfect. Now you talk about loyalty. Now I'm curious. Now I come from my experiences. First of all, it was federal government first. So I started in federal government. I transitioned, moved into entrepreneurship, ministry. Currently now I serve as a 2-man to my pastor at my church. And so I oversee day-to-day operations, executive level things at the church. How does loyalty may look different in a church context compared to the education realm? Because explain to me what that looks like, because in education, we know, like for you might be a vice president for 2 years or 3 years, and then you may move on to something else different. And eventually you may move on to be a president one day. How does loyalty look in the context of, for you guys' window is shorter than ours. So when we say loyalty, for the most part, we're with this until God says something different, or my pastor decides to say, hey, we're going to open another campus and I want you to go lead that. Talk to me a little bit of what does loyalty look like in the education arena?
Yeah, well, I've had the vantage point of being in both of the worlds that you described. So I clearly understand how it can look a bit different in the spiritual realm than how it does in more corporate or in this particular instance, a higher education setting. But loyalty is loyalty. The concepts are very, very similar. As I mentioned, when we're creating initiatives and we develop those initiatives and we're pushing in a particular direction, the loyalty comes in by us sticking to the case and making sure that we're not moving in a different direction in a covert manner. It's a matter of this is what we're going to do, and we're connected here to do it. And also, just like in the ministry, you still have to follow your intuition in regards to your career moves and what you do next. If I decide to go somewhere else, it doesn't mean that I'm being disloyal. It just means that maybe my time is up here, and that's okay. Higher education is a lot like corporate America. When you look at the data, a lot of the leaders don't stay long anymore. And it's not necessarily because things went bad. It's just a matter of some other opportunities that present are opportunities that, will help you to get to the next level that you're going. It'll help you to present more opportunities to a larger group of students, a more diverse group of students. There's many different things that could cause you to want to move in a direction. But even when you move in that different direction, the connection to that president, the connection to your number 2, it doesn't go away. As a matter of fact, it only gets enhanced, because now what we're doing, we're enlarging our territory. If I move to another institution tomorrow, my president now would be a person that I'd call and say, hey, this is the situation that I'm dealing with. What's your thoughts? mainly because she's an amazing person that has some amazing ideas that she could keep feeding into me. And my people that are under me, it's my job to continue to provide guidance, to continue to promote them, to continue to say, hey, you know, you've been at this particular position for X amount of years. I think you need to start taking a look at this, or identifying for them the deficits in their background or their skill sets and saying, I think you might want to grab this leadership course, or go and do this training session, or begin to read these books in order to enhance that. So the loyalty never goes away. I think it only gets enhanced. And as we further enlarge our territory, it just connects us at an even higher level.
I love it. I love it. Man, I just saw a comment. C. Andre Daniels, the former mayor of a township here in New Jersey, he says, agree, loyalty is loyalty. Great point, Dr. Truss. Mayor Daniels, I'm going to have your former two-man, Abraham Lopez, on with me tomorrow. We having a conversation about this two-man concept in the government political realm. So I'm excited about talking to him. Dr. Truss, you talked about you're a two-man, but you have two men. You have support team who support you. Chapter 6 in my book is how to find a two. So tell me, in the higher education realm, what are you looking for when you hire your executive support staff? What are some of the things beyond what you just talked about, hard work and loyalty, but what do you look for when trying to say, okay, this is the person I want to work closely with me?
Yeah, good question. I think that as we are identifying those number two, male, female, whatever the case may be, I think it's extremely important that you guarantee that the skill sets are there. You can always look at potential and gauge it based on that, but you got to know the person can do the job. Many times people hire people based on friendships, relationships, etc. I think that's the worst mistake one could make for themselves and for the person that they're hiring. You never want to set a person up for failure. So you're looking for, do you have the ability to do the job? Am I going to be able to get you to do the task without me having to spend too much time, too much effort building you up? Now, it could always be a case where you see some potential and you say, this might not be the position for you, but if you go and do this, this, and this, the next go around with this, maybe you might be ready, because you're trying to set people up for success. I think back to Shamaric Paradise that you said made a comment earlier. I mentioned I met her at a speaking engagement. She was speaking. I was on the panel as well. And she got up and she was sharing some common themes that made me know that she had a good understanding on some of the things that I was looking for. And so you kind of can feel it when the person is there. And even with that, you still have to assess to make sure that those skill sets are there. Now, you're trying to build a quality team that when you are out in your organization, that you can pretty much demonstrate that the person you're bringing in will be able to hold their own and take the institution or the organization to the next level. So you're really looking for that person that when you see them, you think, why are they not already a vice president? And that's kind of the one you want, because they're already showing the potential. They already have the skill set. They have the abilities to do it, but they just haven't had the right opportunity yet. So you grab them and you shape them and you add a little bit more to them, but you already know this is a king right here. So what I'm going to do is just be a king maker, but I'm going to buy some time so that they can contribute to my cause as well. But I'm going to also give to them to make sure that they headed in the direction that they need. I have this philosophy that, your leaders that you're bringing in, man, you should already know that you're not going to have them forever, because you don't want to hire a person that you're going to have forever. I think that does a disservice to you and to them. You want people that's passing through, that's headed to their kingdom. They're headed to their vice president job. They're headed to their president job, but they got 2 or 3 years with you that they can give you en route to that. And if you can look and find that and then build that loyalty and see that piece in them and know that they work hard, you have somebody that'll help you move the needle. But while you have that person, you also have a backfield, one person behind that person that's ready to step up. So you now going 2 layers in. So that person transition out, you move the next one up, and you have somebody else ready to come in. It's almost like you a GM. You keeping the next man ready to go. You know, I was looking at Danny Ainge and kind of what he did. He upset a lot of people when he got rid of some of those older Celtics back in the day. Right. You know, when he got rid of Kevin Garnett, when he got rid of what was the other cat?
Pierce, Ray Allen.
Right. He moved them out and he upset some people, but what he was doing was preparing for the future. He knew those guys were all right. He knew they had made enough money. He knew where they needed to go, and they needed to transition to the next phase in their career. But he also needed to restock because it's important for him to continue the success of that team. And I think that's how we have to do it. Sometimes you have to push people out the nest so they can go on to their next destination. And I think you do them a service when you do that. You help them to get to that next spot, but what you're really seeing in them is you have a place in a higher position and you've served your purpose here. Let me help you get there. And then what happens ultimately is your territory continues to grow because people appreciate when you prepare them for the next level and help them to get there.
That's good. You just mentioned something I want to come back to, but I want to take a moment to pause. Let's get a commercial break in here. So my new book, It Takes Two, Who is Helping You Lead, it'll be out in June. So I want people to go get it. You can pre-order that book now. You can go to www.ittakes2lead.com and kind of get some information. I'm giving away some free stuff on the site as well. Dr. Truss, how can people find you? Because I know beyond being a vice president of a university, you've been an entrepreneur. You've authored, I believe, 2 books now, and I'm sure you got more coming. Johnny got to get it right. We got to work this publishing contract.
That's right, Johnny, get ready, Johnny.
Yeah, so tell people, like, what other stuff that you have going on. How can people find you? How can people learn about what you're doing?
Yeah, great. Right now, and Ramone is a big part of this. We are still pushing. It Was All a Dream. This is a book that talks about the lives of several young men who attended Albany State University together. And we use all the funds from this book to provide scholarships to our young men. This is top priority right now with me, making sure that we're able to take these funds that we get from this book and continue to provide scholarships and mentorship to these young men. And I'm very excited about it. Building the enrollment at Shippensburg University is extremely important for me. We're looking here to continue to grow an amazing institution. We're here in Pennsylvania. We sit, 45, 50 miles from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital of Pennsylvania. But we sit also in the middle of or in reaching distance or a short drive distance from Baltimore, from Washington, D.C., from Philadelphia, from Pittsburgh. We're only about 3.5 hours from New York. And we have here over 100 majors and certificate programs, mechanical engineering, the typical programs, criminal justice, biology, multiple programs that I'd love for people to go out and take a look at. The web address is www.ship.edu. Go out and take a look at the different programs that we have available. We're building something extremely special out here. Our facilities are amazing. We have a huge number of athletic programs that people can take advantage of, some amazing student organizations. And the most important piece, or one of the most important pieces, is we have an amazing president. Dr. Lori Carter. She's the first African-American president here at Shippensburg University, and she is making waves, and we're supporting her as she makes waves, and things are going really, really well, and we're excited about what we're doing. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn, and when you do find me on LinkedIn, again, Brencleventon, Donta, Truss, I post position announcements, positions that I'm looking for at Ship or at Shippensburg. I put them there. Perfect example right now, I have an associate vice president for student success position available right now. We're looking for people or a person that wants to come and assist with increasing retention and graduation rates here at Shippensburg University. I also have an associate director of graduate admissions position right now. I even have an entry-level position for those who are looking to get into higher education. It's basically a recruitment position here at the institution, but there are many others. I think higher education is an amazing field, and we need more African Americans to be a part of it, especially African American men. So Hey,
Tell me again, LinkedIn. What's your name on LinkedIn?
Brencleventon Donta Truss.
All right. On LinkedIn.
Let me go out and I'll give you the exact really quick. Let's make sure what we got going there.
And you say you're looking for what are the positions?
The B period Donta Truss. B period Donta Truss. And right now we are looking for an associate vice president for student success. We're also looking for an associate director of graduate admissions. We're also looking for a graduate recruiter.
Okay.
And that's just to name a few. You also can, again, go to the website, ship.edu. And when you get there, go on to human resources and you'll see all the different positions that we have available.
Terrence Hall said, man, you have to spell that trust, that Brencleventon. You tripping them up on
That's right. So look for B period, Donta, D-O-N-T-A, Truss, T-R-U-S-S. What's up, T Hall?
Oh, hold on. There was someone, I lost her. She said you're a great mentor in training up leaders. I lost her comment. Where did she go?
Thank you to whomever that is.
Lumpkin,
Maria Lumpkin. Is that her?
Yes, that's her.
Good friend of mine, colleague of mine at Albany State University.
Okay. All right. So you touched on a principle, and I want to come back to it. Kingmaker. Now I know when we do the dream seminar, we've been going across the country, sharing this message. It was all a dream, and doing our dream seminars at colleges and universities and with the Boys Club of America, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And normally you are the closer for the seminar, and you bring home the ideal of sacrifice for young people is so important. And you kind of hit on that kingmaker. Talk a little bit about that, because I feel like that applies to the two-man role. So talk a little bit about that.
I think it's very important for us to understand that we not only should be pushing to accomplish our goals and objectives, we also should be identifying people around us that we can help to become the leader that they need to be. I think it's an important concept to understand that there's some people that's better than us and should be ascending to some even higher roles. And I think it's our job when we identify that king that we help, or queen, the top leader will say, it's important that we assist them with getting to where they're going. Earlier I mentioned, when I think it was just you and I talking, that there is room at the top for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't be selfish with this journey. We can't be selfish with this ride. There's some things, some walls that I ran into that I ought to be able to share with some other people so they don't run into those same barriers and those same walls. I think about my career, and I think about Dr. Sandra Flowers. If she didn't share with me what she did, I might not be where I am now. So it's my duty, it's my obligation to make sure that I'm finding other people that I can pour into, that I can help build up and help them to get to their top leader spot. Because there's some really great young people out here who are really, really smart, and they just need a little bit of guidance. They need a little bit of assistance. And when I say young, I'm not talking about our teenagers now. I'm talking about young professionals that have a tremendous amount of potential. And unfortunately, there's still some people out here who don't always look to help go to the next level. And so the people, those of us who understand, have to do it and do it and do it and do it as much as we possibly can. It's a huge gap out here, I believe, in regard to mentors, mentoring our young people. But it's important that we do it. I'm one who I've suffered from time to time from not having the right mentor. So I understand the importance of. For me, it's very difficult, or it has been very difficult, to find a mentor, because when I look for a mentor, I look for somebody who's been there, who can tell me what they saw, what they experienced. It's sometimes difficult for me to look up to people in regards to specific parts of my life. You can learn something from anyone, But for specific things that I'm trying to get accomplished, I need somebody that's gone through it. I need somebody that's been there a little bit, somebody that can look at me strategically and say, and who's, smart enough and not afraid, but who'll look at me and say, you need to adjust this and you need to make these changes. So king making is a tough job, and it doesn't always look pretty. And on the flip side of that, as a leader, we have to be receptive to that, because there are some people that once we trust them and we develop that kind of loyalty, who will help us to get to where we're trying to go. And we got to be smart enough and wise enough to be humble and listen to that. When I think about, you talked about Lumpkin, Dr. Maria Lumpkin, she has been a king maker. I've seen her work with people and put some of her desires secondary to help them go to the next level. Even though she is truly a king/queen, she has allowed moments of time to go and her help others. She's a member of a lot of different organizations where I've seen her lift up people. So it's such an important concept.
That's so good. That's so good, man. This is fantastic, Truss. In a book, I try to talk. Well, let me come back to one thing. You talked about being a kingmaker, and as the senior leader, understanding that sometimes you may just have this person for a short period of time, but pouring into. One of the things I try to get home in this book for senior leaders, number one, I understand you can't do it by yourself. Number two, appreciate when you do have good people on your team. Celebrate them, honor them when you can. But I think one of the things also is being healthy enough to know when you have a quality leader that's underneath you. And that's whether it's in higher education, whether that's in church, whether that's in business. Speak a little bit about it if you can, because so your president came and recruited you out of the South to come here. Well, you are a king.
This current president, I applied. And,
okay.
And I went through the processes and, that kind of, but there were other presidents that came and recruited, or other leaders, not presidents, leaders in the organization that recruited me in. But with her, it was a little different. But she understands, what talent is. And that's one of her, I think, her good assets.
Good. Yeah.
But I want to speak to that topic.
Okay.
I think many times leaders understand that they have talented people, but they want to treat everybody the same. And I've found that to basically be a mistake. And this is just me opening up and being real with you. And I'll use a basketball analogy. You can't treat Kobe Bryant like you would treat somebody who is barely on the team.
That's good.
It's totally different people. And so when you identify talent, you have to still mentor them along, but you have to do it differently. Because most of the time with talent, they kind of know where they are. They'll be humble and but they kind of know in many occasions that they can pack up and go somewhere else and be okay. And so you have to treat them and you have to treat them very well, but you also have to make sure that you have a plan in place for them, because talented people will get antsy on you. And if you don't have some type of way of fulfilling the needs that they have, they will transition out on you. And unfortunately, talented people will shut down on you and you won't even know it because they're talented. They know how to cover it up. So what'll happen is you'll get 50% of that talent versus 100%. And for a talented person on the outside, that 50% will look like 100%. But if you ever tap completely into them, you and your organization can go to the next level. And the way you do that is, again, understanding them, getting to know them, find out what motivates them, and begin to tap into that and build a strong plan that always consists of what your exit strategy could be for them. Meaning, what's the next step? Finding out from them in the beginning. What is it that you want to do? Well, here's how this position can help you get there. Always attaching it to the overall goals and objectives of that particular person, and show them how you're going to mature them through this process. And it has to be an end point in there somewhere. And you have to talk about that from the beginning. Here's where we're going. But at some point, we're going to get to this end point. And when we get here, I want to have given you enough so that you can be a viable candidate for this next position that you're looking for. And if you don't, you will find yourself having a very difficult time working with and managing talented people. Talented people never worry about a job because they know they can go somewhere else and get another. Hardworking people never worry about a job because they know wherever they go, they're going to work hard enough to show the supervisor, the boss, whomever, that they can make things happen. So they'll always find a job. But as a leader, you want to keep them for at least that period of time that's allotted for your organization. So you got to adjust how you deal with them. You can't treat them any kind of way.
That's good, man.
Cannot work with talented people.
That's good. Hey, listen, I'm not gonna keep you on here long, man, but I wanna talk about two things before we go. Again, tell people where they can find you at, and you're posting things on LinkedIn.
Yep, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. Just look up B. Donta Truss or Brencleventon Donta Truss on that. I'm on Twitter, DL1. You can find me there. You can also find me on Shippensburg University's website. Go there, look me up, look at some of the things that we're doing at Shippensburg University. Again, an amazing institution with an amazing leader who's doing some really big things. Dr. Laura Carter, so excited to be working for her. But man, it's some amazing things that are in store for this institution. Okay.
So, I got a lot of kids. And they transitioning into college and things like that. For a parent who may be watching, what are some of the things that Shippensburg offers that would say, okay, maybe we should consider that? How's y'all scholarship? Is it hard to get into the school? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the quality of our faculty members, I believe, stand out definitely in the state of Pennsylvania. We have some faculty members that are well-renowned, that are Fulbright scholars, faculty members that have worked in the particular fields, but then have become scholars. Shippensburg University is one of those institutions where it's small enough so you still get the personal feel, but it's also large enough to give you a wide range of diverse thought, diverse activities, diverse organizations. It resembles the country. And what I mean by that, it is an institution that is diverse. It's an institution where one can come and be a part of just about anything. And if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to study and try some new things, you could be very successful here and go on to lead whatever in whatever industry that you've chosen based on the 100 plus majors and certificates that we offer. It's nothing for me to walk across the campus and see some of our students out playing field hockey. I may go into our recreation center and see them fencing. I could walk outside and see them playing basketball or tag football. We have a boxing group here where they box and wrestle. I mean, it's multiple things to do. But again, the main drive, or what I think makes us great, is our faculty members and all the great work that they do. It's a real exciting place to be in Pennsylvania.
That's good. All right. So, man, as we getting ready to close with Dr. Truss, in a book I talk about, as great as Michael Jordan was, he did not win a ring until Scottie Pippen matured. Isaiah Thomas had a Joe Dumars that could relieve him from point guard duties. You have chief of staffs. You've had presidents who had great vice presidents or chief of staff that kind of relieved them. Entertainment, you think about people like Johnny Carson, but the show was made famous by Here's Johnny. Ed McMahon was his two-man. You can go into the business realm. You can talk about Bill Gates and Paul Allen. You can talk about Steve Jobs, and I can tell you about Steve Wozniak. So what I want from you is my signature now as I bring it to close. I want to know from you, who are some great two men, two women, in any realm. We can start with sports if you want to start there, since we are in the NBA playoffs and Golden State and H-Town getting ready to do it tonight. So talk to me. Great two men. If you can't think of just a two-man by himself, tell me great tag team duos in any realm. Give me 5, any arena.
Well, you got to go Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, man. I mean, so Scottie Pippen being the number 2, of course, Michael Jordan being the GOAT, if you will. Right. I believe that he would not have been as great as he is without Scottie Pippen, man. Scottie Pippen was such such an important part of that journey. I think of others. Let's see. You're making me dig here. You're making me dig.
Come on.
Let's see. I mean, I could probably keep going. You know, in this era of having dream teams, it becomes a little bit more difficult to realize who is the number two. But then we also could go James Harden, and we probably could then go with his CP3 being, you know, a newer version of the sports analogy. Then I guess, you know, I could probably tap into some things that I've done career-wise where I've had some amazing number twos as well. God, I would hate to call names and then leave somebody out, but I've really had some amazing women who've been number two in my organization, and they really were number ones. They just happened to serve a little bit of time as a number two and then went on to do some great things. Shamaric Paradise and Lumpkin, I kind of mentioned earlier, both of them are some amazing people. I guess when I go out into, I'm thinking corporate America, who I could, you've named a couple. When we look at, you know, what Apple was able to do, you know, you had Steve, who was the salesman, but you also had behind the scenes an engineer or a computer technician who worked to make sure that the technical side was there. You know, and as I cite that example, I think that that's so important, and a bigger point that we can make there. You know, when you're searching for that number two, you're looking for skill sets that you don't have, skill sets that complement what you have. So then you can put those pieces together, and you could go on and make, you know, some great situations. I think about TDI, and I think about, you know, my time as president there. You know, I had a Ramone Harper who was driving as a number two, but he really was a number one. And as roles have reversed, and I become part of his number two team, and I cheer him on with his book. I hope and pray that I'm just as good of a number two as he allowed, or he was when he served that time with me. Yeah. So the list could go on and on, but I think really what you're looking at is, you know, the essence of what makes that number two, and that's about, you know, loyalty. That's about having the skill sets that are needed. That's about finding somebody that complements you well, that you can move the needle with.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. With Dr. Truss, I know you busy. I heard you getting that enrollment up at the school. You doing what they've hired you to do. So, man, I appreciate you taking time out to share some nuggets with us on this two-man principle. Again, man, I'm excited. I thank you for your support. The book is coming out first week of June. It Takes Two, who is helping you lead. Y'all can go to my website, RamoneHarper.com, and pre-order the book. Donta Truss, Dr. Truss, he's talked about our nonprofit organization, Turning Dreams into Reality. I think I put the website in there. You can go get our book, It Was All a Dream. That's available now, 100%. Tell them again about that. Tell them again about TDI, just real quick, so and then we can go.
TDI, a group of guys that met at Albany State University. We all got to that particular institution not knowing what the journey would look like. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a whole lot of heart, and we knew that we were going to make it. So really what we became is an accountability group, and we began to say to each other that we're not going to let you fail. It's no way that we're going to allow you to fail. And so we became the motivating piece that pushed each person in the group to never stop until we got those degrees. I mean, if somebody didn't have the money and needed something, we'd buy a book, we'd buy food, we'd buy whatever. We put our money together to create weekly meals where we barbecued, ate off of it all week. But we had a good time too, man. We partied as much as we possibly could within our means. But we also took some opportunities and some things that we saw in regards to deficits at the institution and turned it into ways for us to create a bit of a revenue source for ourselves when we're there, but then we took those same means and at those same approaches and turned it in a way to make money to give back to young men and women at Alabama State University to assist them with mentorship, and then specifically the young men, provide them with scholarships and internship opportunities. So it's an amazing organization made of real guys who started from humble beginnings, but through God's grace and mercy and through a lot of hard work and a lot of getting connected and working resources, we're able to build something that's pretty reputable. We're celebrating our 25th year anniversary, and we're gonna raise $25,000 additional dollars to give away some additional scholarships We appreciate all of you who go out and take a look at the book. We wrote that book in a manner where it could be a mentorship tool for young men. So we wrote it in plain everyday language, and we were pretty open about our situations and the things that we went through. I won't go into them because you need to get the book to see it, but you get a really good view of what we dealt with and how we were able to overcome it. And the amazing part about it is the story is not over. The story is not over, and we're excited about the next piece of that journey.
Yeah, that's it. And man, just so people are aware, our applications are open now. If you go to our website, www.tdi2r.org, we are accepting applications for new students who want to be a part of our mentor and scholarship program. So we're excited about that, Timothy Fields, he has been on and he has been commenting. He has said you are dropping gems. We're excited about him because he is a part of our publishing family as well. He just released a new book, Lessons I Learned from Drinking. Make sure you go out and get that and support him and what he's doing. Fantastic book. So, man, I'm blessed, man. I can really say that. I'm blessed to have great friends. You guys are my inspiration, Dr. Truss. You know you've always been a person I looked up to, and I'm proud of you. Proud of you, what you're doing, man.
And that's right back at your time, too, man. I tell you, guys, go out and get this book. Ramone Harper is an amazing young man who's doing some amazing things in the community. And I can speak very, very genuinely about this. This young man has a huge heart, and he has a heart to serve. And I'm very appreciative to have had you and to continue to have you in my life. I look up to this guy. If I need spiritual counseling, I can talk to this guy. If I need to hear from the hood perspective, I can talk to this guy and get it real, because this guy knows me and he's going to give it to me straight. And I believe that when you begin to look at the book, you'll see that the concept that he has outlined and developed is real, and is one that I believe will speak life into you and share what his journey has looked like, and some concepts that you can apply to many situations, as we know the importance of a number two.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. So thank y'all for tuning in. It takes two. Don't try to do this by yourself. It's too hard. You need help. Thank you, Dr. Truss. Talk to you later, man.
Thank you, buddy. All right. Be blessed.